The 3D Collectathon mascot platformer, one of the most important genres to me when it comes to gaming. Growing up on the N64, collectathons were really my bread and butter. Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie, Donkey Kong 64, all of these qualify as some of my favorite titles of all time. Unfortunately though, as someone who's always primarily owned Nintendo consoles, I've missed out on many of the awesome 3D platforming franchises exclusive to Sony's PlayStation systems. Recently though, since picking up the PS5, I've really been doing a sort of a deep dive into all things PlayStation, including many of the older collectathons I've always wanted to play. One such franchise is Jak and Daxter. Getting its start on the PS2, the series was Naughty Dog's next big project after finishing the Crash Bandicoot trilogy on the PS1. These games would later be re-released as a compilation on the PS3, and finally as individual downloadable titles on the PS4. It's through the PS4 release that we're going to be taking a look at the first installment, Jak and Daxter and the Precursor Legacy. Our story begins on a mysterious unnamed planet somewhere far away. Our protagonist Jak and his best friend Daxter have traveled to the enigmatic Misty Island against the advice of the village sage in search of adventure. Daxter quickly manages to fall into a pit of dark eco, transforming himself into an Ottsel, half otter, half weasel. The only way for him to transform back into his old self is by hunting down the dark eco sage, Gul Acheron, but unfortunately nobody knows where he is. With little in the way of choice, both Jak and Daxter set out from Sandover Village to collect the power cells they need to make the journey north. You control Jak, complete with what is a fairly vanilla 3D platforming moveset. You can move, jump, attack, as well as perform a spin move and an always welcome double jump. Controlling Jak feels nice, exactly as you would hope it would, and arguably, just as importantly, you get full analog controls on the right stick, a real luxury when put up against games from previous generations. The right stick is inverted by default, but you can change it to the more modern scheme in the settings, even if it's a little bit less than intuitive to figure out how. Speaking of settings, this game advertises widescreen support, which I was pretty excited about. Unfortunately, it isn't implemented very well at all. In order to achieve a 16:9 aspect ratio, they simply take the standard 4:3 image and zoom in, cropping off the top and bottom of your field of view. This mode is enabled by default in the re-releases, so I'm genuinely sorry if you've never noticed this before and now literally can't look at the game the same way. I opted to play in 4:3, and even still, this is a very nice looking game. The 6th generation of consoles was certainly much more capable of handling 2D environments, and you can definitely tell here. The colors are vibrant, the models hold up very nicely, and the animation is superb. The game also features full voice acting, which is pretty high quality, but unfortunately there isn't an option for subtitles, so I would constantly miss out on the first few seconds of cutscenes for having my volume down too low. The gameplay of Jak and Daxter is pretty standard collectathoning. You'll travel from area to area gathering power cells and the secondary collectible Precursor Orbs. In order to do so, you'll have to explore the world and complete side quests for various NPCs. One of the coolest aspects of this, in my opinion, is the fact that Jak and Daxter largely takes an open world approach when it comes to stages. There are obviously still distinct areas with their own collectible totals, but you can largely just walk into any stage without a loading screen or any kind of progression gate right from the start. Usually how it works is you'll start out in a hub. There'll be some sort of plot-based progression gate that you need power cells to overcome, so you'll fan out and take on the various stages in any order you see fit. Once you have enough power cells, you can move on to the next hub and repeat the process. The atmosphere of Jak and Daxter is impeccable, with each area having its own unique feel, while still very much feeling like just another corner of this sprawling world. The locations you'll visit touch on both familiar platformer level tropes, along with several original and interesting ideas and stage concepts. This game actually seems to put a pretty big emphasis on racing mechanics. There are several hoverbike sections, usually serving as transport between hubs, and I think these are a ton of fun. There's even an entire traditional stage that you complete entirely on your hoverbike, which was one of my favorite parts of the whole experience. Another way they like to expand gameplay is with various eco variations found throughout the world. These sort of act like a temporary power-up, allowing you to do things like run faster, jump higher, hit harder, and shoot fire. New colors of eco are slowly introduced as you make your way through the game, and switches in certain areas will open up eco vents in others. This does introduce some minimal backtracking for 100% depending on what order you complete the game in, but I found it to be mostly inoffensive. The levels are designed really well, using the secondary collectible of Precursor Orbs to lead you around each world and help you discover all that there is to see. Collecting Precursor Orbs is extremely satisfying, and once you've collected all of them in an area, your total will come up on screen, giving you a real sense of accomplishment. I really like how every area doesn't have to have the exact same amount of power cells or precursor orbs. To me, it seems like this allows for more freedom in level design and doesn't make the amount of collectibles feel forced. Collecting everything in every area isn't particularly difficult, but it's something that you'll have to go out of your way to do, which I think is a good thing. There are more than enough power cells in the game to allow you to skip entire levels if you'd like, so going for 100% completion really feels like a conscious choice. Collecting every power cell will actually award you with a short bonus cutscene at the end of the game, and of course you can expect a juicy 100% completion marking on your save file. Additionally, if you're playing in one of the re-releases, you'll be graced with achievement support, meaning a platinum trophy is available to completionists like myself. Of course, good collectathoning is supposed to be intrinsically enjoyable, and in Jak and Daxter, it really is. This is just a fun game to play, in a way that's hard to assign a specific value to. As I've said before, pinpointing the things a game does right is a lot more difficult than pointing out areas it trips up, and there just aren't many trip-ups in this experience. If I had to offer one criticism, it would have been nice had the modern re-releases offered a bit more in terms of enhancements. I understand these aren't advertised as enhanced re-releases or remasters, just straight-up ports of the PS2 games, but I certainly wouldn't have minded had they have cleaned up the frame rate a little bit, especially in this lava boss fight, or even tweaked the settings to allow for true native widescreen support. That would have been awesome. I would love to tell you how long it took for me to complete the Precursor Legacy, but for whatever reason, the game and its accompanying playtime refuses to show up on my PSN profile, so I guess we'll never know. How long to beat put the time at about 12 hours, but I'd estimate mine came in at closer to 15. No matter how long it took though, in my opinion, it was time very well spent. For me, Jak and Daxter has managed to claim the highest honor a collectathon can earn in my eyes. That being, I can actually see myself replaying it at some time in the not too distant future. The Precursor Legacy has set a very high standard for the PlayStation mascot platformers I will undoubtedly be playing many more of in the coming years. In my opinion, this game is easily able to go toe-to-toe with some of the best Nintendo had to offer in the collectathon sphere, and that's really exciting. If you're a big fan of 3D platformers, you owe it to yourself to check out Jak and Daxter. You can pick up the game on pretty much any system in some form or another for a pretty reasonable price, although personally I would recommend sticking to either original PS2 hardware or the PSN release on either a PS4 or PS5, as both the PS3 and Vita versions are known to have some problems. I'm having a great time catching up on the world of PlayStation, and I'm only just getting started. If you'd like to stick around for when I continue this journey, why not pay a visit to the subscribe button and ring the bell while you're at it. That way you get notified every time I upload a video. Beyond that, if you like the video, why not actually drop a like or comment down below letting me know what you think. I'd love to hear from you. Another great way to support the channel is by sharing it with anyone you think might enjoy it, or heading down to the description and following me on any of my social media. It would be awesome to see you there. Down below you can also find any of the music I used in this video. I think that about covers it. I'll see you all next week, and as always, thanks for watching.